Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bavsound video installation guide series. We are here today in a 2018 X3, so this is going to be relevant for 2018 through probably 2025, I'm guessing, X3 model cars, both hi-fi, Harman Kardon, and bass audio if you're overseas in Europe or Asia. So let's cover how we do it, what's required, and get the process started. So everything that we're going to go over today is of course available at bavsound.com. We do the social media thing. You can find us all over the interwebs, blah, blah, blah. So, tools required to handle the installation of our speaker upgrade in this X3. Everything you need is going to be in our toolkit, which can be added to your order in your cart. Just simply click add to cart. It's going to have everything we need. And in this particular car, we need several different tools, some of which you may have, some of which you may not. Most importantly is going to be our plastic panel removal tool, as we use it to carefully remove the panel from the door. In this car, we're going to need a Torx T20, and we are going to need our metal panel removal tool to get the some of the harnesses off the back side of the door. And we are going to need our angle pick tool to get our tweeter out of the factory housing. And we will need this angle driver ultimately for the center channel drivers. So we need pretty much everything in this kit. So that being said, let us get the party started. Cool. All right, everybody. So the door panel is held on by the front door panel is held on by 4 screws. The rear just 3, but same, we'll get there. One behind here, and one and one. And then the panel just comes right up. Very straightforward. So how do we do that? Using our plastic panel removal tool. Do not use the metal panel removal tool here. You can see why. Fancy leather and metal, not a good mix. We want to use nice, clean, smooth plastic. So how do we do this? There is a seam here on the handle, and the front half of the handle comes off. So to do that, I usually just go behind this guy here, take a little pry, come up here, and then I just use my fingers. And then, whoosh. You can see this is a little tab that ultimately will slot back in there. And all we did, as you can see, there's a clip there, and a clip there. So there's just 3. So all we're doing was we freed up this front edge, we went, done. Could not be more straightforward. And for those of you that maybe want to upgrade these pieces, you could also be watching this video, because I am sure they have this in carbon and all kinds of fancy wrapping. So that's going to reveal our Torx T20s, which are back here. And again, I'm using my left hand, and it's very... So we've got the 4 screws out, and now we need to just pop off this tweeter pod, which is brilliantly designed. Check it out. You just grab it, and we're gonna take it just like this. It's gonna come off. It's kind of a C-clamp. So we just kind of use our fingers, and then we just, I wanted to show you guys that so you can see it nice and clear. And then we just come around here, and you'll see this in just a moment when I have it off. And then it just slides right off like that. So you can see what I did. There's just little clips here, little tabs, and then boom, we just take those out, and it just goes. You can see the tabs right here that it slots into. There's its male counterpart. So it's really simple, just like that. And then we unplug the tweeter, and voila, it is off and ready to rock. So now we're gonna go ahead and get the whole panel itself off to upgrade the mid-range driver lower in the panel. Cool. There we go. So before we pop this panel off, which we're going to use our fingers, we need to get this little clip off for the tweeter. Boom, done. Using our panel removal tool. We'll reinstall that in a minute. And now we're going to stay tight in here for you guys to see this, where we use our fingers to start popping that panel free. And then I use my panel removal tool. I come back here. Boom. And I'm just using my fingers. And then look, you lift up off of that, and you lift back and out towards you. I'm gonna let the cameraman come around if he can. The first thing we're gonna do is unclip the door. Very easy. We've engineered a new gasket system for these specific vehicles, and this is how we apply it. We do the work on our bench or in our garage or on our dining room table, quite frankly, before we go out and pop the speakers in. Here is what we do. So this is the speaker as shipped to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this front ring. They all come with this. We take this off. And then of course we install the new foam rings that came. We'll do that last. But here's where the change comes, on the back of the speaker. So we're gonna flip the speaker over, and the first thing we do is this. We've got this custom cut gasket for what's happening here. So we're gonna take off the adhesive, and then we're gonna put the gasket, the thicker gasket with the gap in it, we're gonna put it on the speaker, and obviously we're going to make sure everything is nice and lined up. It is perfectly custom cut for this speaker. It is perfect in every way. It is flawless. Okay, so you can see I've left this little gap here. And that is because we need to bring the wires from the back of the speaker to the front of the speaker. Now your factory speaker, you may have noticed, had the plugs on the front edge of the speaker. But we don't do it that way because then I can't roll my surround, which is an integral part to our mid-range design, and the reason our drivers sound as good as they do. Well, one of the many, but so we can't have our terminals up here interfering with the surround. So we've had to put them on the back in a more traditional sense. So we need to get the cables to the front of the car because in these new cars, the doors are completely sealed and there's nowhere else to run them through. So what I do is we tuck the cables, tuck the wires, we bring them around like so, and then you may have noticed another gasket was sent, a solid gasket. That lays directly on top of the gasket we just put in. And we do that by, again, let's see, I've got a very specific area that I can work in that you guys can see me. So we line this up again. We line it up perfectly, like so. And then we come down here, just like this. And you can see what we've done here is we've closed off. Now, when we install this in the door, two things happen. Number one, the wires don't get pinched. And number two, we still get a tight seal. When we put this back into the door panel, we now have access to the wires on the front so that we can plug them in to our factory BMW connector and our Bavsound tweeter harness, which of course there's a capacitor that goes between the mid-range and the tweeter. So again, we do this on our bench or on our dining room table. We install these gaskets, we get these things ready to go just like this, and voila, then you check out the video we've got specific to your car. So we're gonna go ahead and pop out the mid-range and of course install our upgraded mid-range. Now I've taken this whole panel off. For those of you doing it at home, quite frankly, it's easier to just pop off the door panel, sit here on the sill like I'm doing, and have the panel in your lap and do this swap out because it's so simple and it's so fast to do that. So we've already prepped the mid, as you've seen, with the foam ring, just like the factory, and we've installed the gasket on the back so that we can get the wires out up on the top, just like the factory. And exciting times, we're gonna unplug this speaker. Just kidding. So, and you can see it's in this beautiful dead housing. And ordinarily in these cars, we would be putting sound deadening material here, but in this car, it's already dead. So out with the factory mid, in with the Bavsound mid. 'Tis brilliant. And then we simply put our mid up here, just like so. We screw it in using the factory screws, just like so. Again, you can do all of this in a minute with the panel in your lap. You literally just in and out of here in no time whatsoever. The tweeter, as you saw, I mean, the tweeter is effortless. We're going to cover that up on the workbench because I want some better light, even though it's a very simple process. So again, just snug. Don't go wrenching this down. Just get it snug. And then we just work our way around slowly. And just when it stops turning, stop. Don't go beyond that. You can see it stops. It's good. Stops, it's good. Use your weaker hand so you don't go wrenching things down. So perfect, and then check it out. At this point, we take note, okay, this green goes up to the tweeter, green and white goes up to the tweeter, so we then plug our Bavsound connector into this blue connector. This is the one coming from the amplifier. This one we will not use because our tweeters connect differently than the OE tweeters. So this is going to come up here, and we will ultimately connect our Bavsound tweeter to this plug here. So we'll have that, and we'll cover that process in a minute. But that's it. I mean, that's how we do it. So couldn't be more straightforward. Install. All right, so we've connected our mid-range to the factory side of the connections. And you'll recall, we confirmed that the tweeter wires were these wires. So we won't be using these because, again, our tweeter connects a little differently, and this is how we do that. So here is the plug coming off of our speaker that goes up to the tweeter. So we simply plug in this harness. And if you're watching this down the road, we may not be using this harness, but nevertheless, for the time being, watch it and take note. Either way, we're connecting the tweeter to the mid. We plug it in, and then using the wire ties that we've given you, we go ahead and we bring this up here. I want you guys to tie this up here like this. Actually, you know what you can do is just take the factory wiring harness and tie it down. Plenty of room. And we want this up here like that. And then that way we have all of our harnesses tied up, out of the way, no worries, and everything can come down here. We've got a couple more wire ties that we've sent you. And everything can be tied up just like it is from BMW, like so. So again, I'm just keeping this really simple, really clean. We're just tying this up. And this way, when we snap the door panel back on, this is just hanging out, waiting up here to plug the tweeter into. Done and done, and that is it. So panel back on, you can cut these if you'd like, which we will be doing momentarily. And that is how we will then reassemble the door. So again, we've only been in here just a few minutes, and we are ready to put everything back together. Cool. All right, guys, so now we're gonna just literally put the panel right back on the way we took it off. We've got our tweeter harness up here hanging out. We start leading with this front edge of the door like this, so we get it hooked back here. Then we just take this door lock. There's a little guide back here. You can't goof it up. Look at that. Boom. The panel sits. Now, my trick here, lift up. You'll feel the clips settle. Then we just start pushing. Come up here, same thing. Lift up. You'll feel the clips settle where they want to be, where they live, their home. Boom, 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 boom. And then we just 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll come back here in just a moment and cover how we pop the tweeter in. It's, I mean, again, as you saw, we're in total, shouldn't take you too terribly long at all for each door. So that is how we do it. Cool. All right, we are up on the workbench with our tweeter pod. Front tweeter pod, I should say. And this is how we go about upgrading the front tweeters. It's super easy. Using your fingers. Just take this foam backing out of the housing, which reveals our factory tweeter. Then, using your angle pick that is in your toolkit, simply pry out the factory tweeter. Like, let's see if there's some good light for you guys. You just pop it out. So we're taking this lovely tweeter out and putting in your new 25mm silk dome tweeter versus this, it's a 15mm dome. But I don't know what's going on here. So anyway, as you can see, this is going to be brilliant in every way. We take our tweeter and snap it directly into the housing, just like the factory speaker. It fits tighter than the factory speaker, which is awesome. So that means we just take our foam, we slide it right back in where it came from. We have our tweeter wires come out in the same place, and you'll recall we left the little connector just waiting for us there in the door. So plug it in and we're done. It's that straightforward. So we're gonna pause it here, go back to the shop, plug this in, and rock and roll and continue with the process. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are putting our tweeter pod back on. So we will be plugging in our black connectors from the mid-range to our tweeter. We're actually putting the car back together. This is a brand new car, so we are putting everything back together to give it back to our friends. So you'll just plug in your tweeter. Like we instructed you to leave the black connector up here, you'll plug it into the tweeter, done. So I'm gonna plug this in and show you how to put this piece back on. Very easy. So, just like we took it off, I'm gonna come around here. Okay. And then we slot this in, as you recall. So we do this. Literally just keys in like so. Just like that. And then we come back around here. And just like that. This is a brilliant design. Very well done to BMW for that. Oh, did I miss that? I missed it? No, there we go. Brilliant. And that is that. So our tweeter pod is on. And now for the last piece of the puzzle. You'll recall when we took this off, we pulled this out. So when we put it back on, it's as simple as inserting this in like so, and then literally just, that is it. The rear doors are done identically to the front, minus the tweeter pod, of course. So again, on the rear doors, and actually, you know what? We'll go ahead and pause and we'll just show you the rear doors. But if you don't want to watch it, it's exactly the same. This off, 1, 2, there's only one screw on the rear door, boom. The rear door just comes right off. It's that straightforward. So we'll pause it here, we'll cover it. F1 motorcycle thing go by. All right, so here we are in the rear door. As I had just mentioned, identical to the front, boom, 1, 2. There's only one screw on the rear door right here. Off with the panels. You can see the tweeter is integrated up here. So just like the front pod, you just pop it out with the right angle tool, snap in our tweeter, plug it in. The mid-range mounts exactly the same way. No confusion there. It couldn't be more straightforward. We're not going to insult your intelligence, and we're not going to waste our time taking this door off because it is, again, identical to the front. And that wraps up the rear doors. Let's head to the center channel and knock that out and wrap this up. All right, guys, we are wrapping up this speaker install here in the center channel, only because it's the easiest. And I like to save it for last because, you know, why not? Again, plastic panel removal tool. Up under, just, and you can see I'm just running it along these edges. I'm largely using my fingers. I'm just turning it, as you can see. And then I'm using my fingers to lift up. And that is going to reveal our friend, the mid-range driver, and our friend, the super little teeny tiny tweeter. So, using our right angle driver, which is included in your toolkit, we shall remove this housing at large because we need to access the rear of this tweeter. All right, guys, so we have removed the 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we just lift this pod out of here and we can unplug the mid and we just take this up to our workspace and work from there. All right, guys, so with the pod out on the workspace, we're gonna remove the tweeter and the mid-range. So again, an exciting process here of removing the screws. My God, is this ever ending, huh? And the tweeter is the same way as all the other tweeters. We're just gonna pry it out from the back side. It just snaps right out. Our new tweeter will snap right in. Man, this was just, look at that. We're using an inch-long screw to hold down a speaker that weighs 2 ounces. So again, I know I'm having to, they torque this. So when you're reinstalling the speaker, be conscientious not to roll off of this screw and into the speaker because they've made this very snug indeed. Again, we're just removing the torque. Good God, they torqued the shit out of that. It's always funny. We see all the audio specs, we see all the tech specs, we see all the bills of material, and but every car is a little bit different, and you don't see these little subtleties until you actually get in the car. So just unplug the tweeter from the mid. Mid comes out, leaves us with our housing for our new mid. Tweeter, same as all the rest. Our right angle pick. It's as simple as prying this little guy right out. And you can see it's exactly the same. We'll go ahead and unbox this here right in real time as the other one. So again, this little guy, putting in this super pretty tweeter. So again, it just snaps right into the housing, just like all the rest of them. And now we're left with this big, beautiful tweeter. So now we're gonna go put this back in the car, drop the mid in. We can put the mid in here, plug it all in here. That's actually what we're gonna end up doing. So, but that's the tweeter, then we'll put the mid in and we'll come back and drop it back in the car. So, easy as 1, 2, 3. We screw in our upgraded mid. We plug in the tweeter to the mid-range. We put the little capacitor right in the same location as the factory. It plugs right in. We take this, plug it back into the car side. When we take it to the car, it's as easy as that. So we're outside of the car. It's super straightforward. It's 5 minutes start to finish. We'll cover reinstalling it here in just a moment, but we just wanted to show you guys this. I do take the little rubber boot off the back of the mid, so that's something you'll want to do as well, just for spacing. It's pretty tight back there, so pull the little rubber boot. Where the hell is it? Anyway, it just pulls right off. You can't miss it. So super straightforward. We'll see you back in the car. Okay, so again, we're putting this car back together because we borrowed it from a local dealer, but plug your stuff back in just like it always was. 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Only trick with this little guy here is just this front little piece, just front little tab, just push it right back down in. It couldn't be more straightforward. I'm not gonna make anyone watch me do this. You'd be insane if you watched me do this. In fact, if you watched me do this, I'd have to report you to, I don't know who, but you need to be reported. And that's it. So we're gonna wrap this up. And then finally, we're gonna come back together here in the settings on our iDrives and talk about kind of optimizing both the tonal controls in the vehicle and the tonal controls on our source if we're using a phone for our music. So let's kind of pause it here. I'm gonna continue this mundane process and we'll regroup for a little tuning session. Sweet. So we have wrapped up our speaker installation. We've wrapped up our Ghost subwoofer installation, and we're ready to kind of set the tone up here on the main control unit. So satellite radio, HD FM, those are both hi-fi, you know, super high fidelity audio solutions. So from a tonal control perspective, just head into your menu, media radio, down to tone. You've got treble and bass, balance fader. Balance fader, leave them in the middle. Bass and treble, it depends. I mean, these you can kind of play with. The bass, I usually leave flat +1, maybe +2, depending on the recording. And as you skew the volume higher, you'll want to just keep your ears open, and you may want to bump the bass down a notch or two at the upper listening levels, only because now we have speakers that are truly limitless. So we kind of have to use our ears at the upper ends to make sure that we're not stressing any of the components in the system. And you won't find that limit. These cars have some serious cojones, even the hi-fi cars, plenty of power. So treble, do whatever you will with. If you are a little bit older, the treble you may be less sensitive to the high frequency, so you can just throttle that up, you know, just and then for the rest of us, you know, maybe +1, +2, because my tweeters are very, very smooth. They're silk. They're very responsive, they're very neutral, so you're not going to get a lot of harshness out of them. They're going to be very smooth, so if you want to brighten things up, just throttle the treble. And again, bass, most of the time, maybe right around here, and then if you're really, really wanting to, if it's at low volumes and you want to just hump, just, but as you turn the volume up, back the bass back down, and then very rarely will you be down here, if ever. So that's just using our satellite radio and our AM, FM. If you're using your iPhone as your source, do not stream via Bluetooth. It's just garbage in terms of sound quality. Always try and use your USB connection. And so when we're going in our iPhone, go into our settings, go into general, go down to, hey, look at that. You just go into settings and then scroll to music. Where the hell that went? Music. And go here, and you'll see you've got options. A lot of people leave their EQs on. Turn them off. Turn your volume limit on. Sound check is basically, so your volume limit on, and then I back it down to about 3/4 so that we're not clipping the signal. And then I come into my sound check off or on. Sound check basically ensures consistent output across all tracks. So if you've got music, you know, you've burned over, you've got iTunes, you've got this, that, or the other, sound check just ensures consistent output from the DAC. When you turn it on, that's what it does. When you turn it off, you get a lot more, you tend to get more variance in track to track. So one song might be really loud and the next song might be really quiet. So if you're really looking for the most volume and just booming output, just leave your sound check off and just deal with it. Otherwise, if you're downloading everything from iTunes, just leave it on and it'll keep everything consistent and no worries. So, and that's just kind of our little preamp setting. That's kind of my little words of advice there. So it's really straightforward. So that really wraps it up. So at this point, we just kind of throttle into the music. I don't know what this garbage music is, but you know, whatever the case may be. You've installed it. The work is done. Celebrate, have a beer. Let us know your feedback. Drop us a line. Come by.